Hey you guys, welcome back to East Africa with me, Rachel Griffith. I am super excited to be sitting with you again today. We are going to continue talking about vision, but in a little different aspect. In some of the last teachings, we talked about vision, God's desire for vision, and really what can hinder vision, which is seeing yourself the wrong way. But I want to talk and start talking about really vision coming from the birthplace of Jesus instilling within us life, excitement, and all of these things. When we talked last time about seeing ourselves the right way, this is a little bit more about seeing and experiencing Him. And how when we see and experience Christ and see and experience God, that there becomes this excitement in our hearts, this fire in our hearts. And this is the birthplace of where vision and dreams and excitement about life begin to flow in us, through us. So let me start off, and I want to read to you here in John 1:4. It says, "In Him," talking about Jesus, "was life, and the life was the light of men." I think this scripture, I have just meditated on this so much, and I find it incredible that it says Jesus came to us, and what He brought was life, real, living, thriving life. Not like where you think about life like just going through life, going through the motions. Real life, excitement, vibrant, passionate, purposeful life. He brought all of who He was to us. And in Him was life, and the life was the light of men. We receive light from the life of Jesus. And this word light is put in many things, but it can even be like a star or a torch or a fire. So what happens from Jesus's life to us is we receive light, vibrant, passionate fire. That's what He desires for all of us to have. He doesn't desire for any of us to just be living in this world day by day, thinking that every day is just a monotony of going through the motions. And so much of the world lives like this. So much of the world is literally just going through the motions of life. They don't enjoy it. They don't have joy. They don't have peace. They don't even have excitement about the next day that they're facing. But this is not the desire of God for us as His children. And I firmly believe that is when we begin to experience the life of Christ, what He provided for us, that we find light, and in that we find vision, and in that we find passion, and in that our dreams become realities. Jesus, you think about it like this. Before Jesus entered the scene for all of us, the world lay in darkness. It says right here in John 1:5, right after this, "And the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not comprehend it." You know, mankind was really living in a way that was separated from God. Only the Jews at that time even had a way to be with God through sacrifice and all of these different things. So the world was really dark. It was the Gentiles weren't in a relationship with the Lord at all. And Jesus brought His life to all of mankind. Jesus brings His life to all of us who are willing to say yes to it and receive Him and receive the life that He brings. And in that, it illuminates our hearts. It illuminates the areas in us that are dark, that are dead. It illuminates the areas that we've even shut off to the world. Maybe you've experienced pain or trauma or hurt and you've just totally shut those areas off. But Jesus can illuminate those areas in your heart, and he can heal those areas of your heart. He desires for each and every one of us to live with a passion and a zeal in this life. Because when we do, we find ourselves in a place where we begin to see what he has for us, to see his thoughts towards us, and to begin to become excited about the future. So if we look here at Luke 24:3, this is right after Jesus was crucified, he was buried, and he's risen again. And Mary's already been, they've already been to the tomb, it's empty. So now we find there's two guys, they're walking on the road, they run into Jesus, and Jesus is like, hey, what's going on? They start to tell him all of what's going on, but in a way that's very much more doubting. Like, did you not hear, you're the only one that doesn't know that Jesus was crucified and now the tomb is empty? And Jesus kind of gives them this rebuke, like, hey, and it says that he expounds to them, starting at Moses through all the prophets, he expounds to them himself. He begins to reveal Jesus himself throughout all of Moses, all through the prophets. He begins to speak about himself. And what's amazing is that when we get to Luke 24:30, it says, and it came to pass as he, Jesus, sat with them, these two guys, that he took bread, blessed and broke it, and gave it to them. Then their eyes were opened, and they knew him, and he vanished from their sight. And they said to one another, did not our hearts burn within us while he walked with us on the road, and while he opened the scriptures to us? These were most likely two disciples, maybe not of the 12 disciples, but most likely had been around Jesus because of the way that they talked about it. Like, they knew all of who he was. They knew what was supposed to happen, that he said on the third day he would rise again. But it's amazing to me that it says that as they talked with him, and see, he began to reveal himself. Jesus revealed himself. He spoke of who he was to these guys. And they said, did not our heart burn within us while he talked with us on the road and opened the scriptures to us? This burning heart, can we all say, like, we desire to have a burning heart? A burning heart for God, a burning heart to live this life and all that he has called us to, a burning heart, to walk in the plans and the purposes that he has for us. But it's amazing that comes from seeing Jesus. It comes from knowing Jesus. If we want to walk in what he's calling us to walk in, and we want to do it with a fire and a passion, then it is all surrounded by Jesus. Experiencing him and seeing him, you cannot separate it. And as believers, we should never try to separate vision and what God is calling us to, or vision as what we want to do, and separate Jesus from it. Because that's where you end up burnt out, tired, lukewarm, and then not enjoying the journey and the pursuit of what God is putting in your heart. The key for us is always experiencing Jesus, always seeing Jesus. That's where that vision stays exciting and full of life. All right, you guys, I would love to connect with you on WhatsApp. Please send your prayer requests so we can hear from you, and I'll see you next time.